Welcome to the Jimbo and Jeff Podcast.
Never have you known such cringing terror.
The Jimbo and Jeff Podcast. Now, here's Jimbo and Jeff.
Hello.
Hello. Jimbo and Jeff.
Ta-da!
We are in the presence of greatness, ladies and gentlemen.
How's it going?
Oh, look, he even has a microphone. Look at you.
Wow, look at this.
Whoa.
Snazzy.
Well, I got to keep up with you two.
Give me your radio voice.
Check 1, 2, 3. Check, check. You know, my first job was in radio.
Where? Down in Corpus?
Yeah, I worked for a Clear Channel station.
C101.
Well, it was a part of that group. It was K99. It was the country. Yeah, I had like a pretty good shift Monday through Friday. What was like 6 to midnight? All of it was voice track, but
Yeah.
Albert, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and I was one of those guys jumping off the Bob Hall Pier way back in the day.
Yeah, that was you.
That was me.
Did you see the video after that hurricane, the far end of Bob Hall collapsed?
No, I have seen through the years, you know, especially from Fish Pass, Port Aransas, and as well as on the other side of Padre Island.
Yeah.
It's just, and I was born in Port Arthur, so I'm right there. I was, you know, I remember, you know, growing up with storms and depressions. Yeah, it just, we had Meekum's Pier in High Island, and a hurricane came through there and just, it was gone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, are we recording already? I don't even know.
Well, did you see the little red light blinking?
Oh, I guess we are.
Yeah, you're
Jim's
in broadcasting, man. Come on.
I thought we were just chatting, but I guess we are just chatting.
Yes, it makes it real. Well,
Yeah.
Albert, listen, I got to tell you before we get started, I got a little something against you. My mom is heartbroken.
Yeah.
You left.
Well,
You
I left
left.
local, but if mom has cable or satellite, starting September 1st, she'll be able to watch me.
Okay, that's a good comeback, because there she is, the little old lady in Sun City, Georgetown, going, "Where's Albert?"
We're gonna take care of Williamson County and Sun City.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's the good
That's
thing
great.
about you. Even when you left, you were still doing your social media updates for us. Poor schmucks here in 104-degree weather, you know.
Yeah, it's been crazy hot down there. It's you know. One thing that I was thinking about this last night, because Austin is always still in the back of my mind weather-wise, and while I was down there, one thing that kept me up at night, it wasn't tornadoes, it wasn't flooding. Obviously, we're always on alert about that, especially in the springtime. But it's kind of what we're pivoting to right now down in Central Texas, and that's wildfire danger. It's dry, it's hot. We're about to get into a weather pattern that we saw back 2010 to or the first part of 2015. That's a La Nina weather pattern, which promotes drought conditions. And you know, there was a fire out by the lake.
Yeah, it was last night.
Yeah, so I'm concerned over the next a few months, especially as we head into the first part of fall, when it comes to the dryness that's going on down there.
So, Albert, how do you know that? Are you in Chicago now?
I'm in Chicago. This is my pad in Chicago. I got an apartment here. The maintenance people are banging on the wall, so if you hear some boom, 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 that's what's going on.
So, how did you know there was a fire at Horseshoe Bay yesterday, or it's still going?
Yeah. So we are where I'm working is News Nation. It's a national outlet with a WGN America. It's a new primetime newscast that starts on September 1st. And it's a national outlet, and we'll be using the resources of 110 newsrooms across the country, one of which is actually KXAN, which was our competitor when I was there in Austin, but is now a huge partner and plays a big role in not just Central Texas news and weather coverage, but really across the state, just because they have the resources. So I'm tapped into all those newsrooms, and that's something that popped up yesterday afternoon, and that kind of just triggered that thinking that, again, that's one of the things that always kept me up late at night.
Jeff actually pinged me last night. He says, "Man, are you okay?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
That's right. Like, you're out west.
I'm right in Marble Falls, so we are right down the street from that. In fact, from the bridge, you can actually see the smoke from where it was. So,
and it's still ongoing.
Yeah, they said they got it out last night, but it's definitely going to be flaring up.
Okay.
So, but
Albert, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. We're big fans. Jim's known you a while. I'm glad I got to meet you. and we just want to get to know you a little bit better and learn about you. And I don't know if you remember this. Actually, you have spoken to my children. You came to their school and talked weather, and they're all excited. And I won't let them in here. I'm like, no,
He's famous.
No, well,
talking to Albert. Yes, I'm talking to Albert, the Albert. So anyway, yeah.
No, thank you for having me. It's been
Yeah.
it's been a couple of months since I've been able to talk to some Texas boys. So I need to get some of this out of my system.
Oh, we should have been eating barbecue in front of him. That would have really.
Oh, man. I tell you, you know what? Other than friends and family, that is the number one thing I also miss.
Yeah.
Is my favorite barbecue place in Austin is Style Switch there on Lamar.
Oh,
I don't know if there's one out in Dripping too. They have the Switch, which is out there. And man, I miss all the barbecue in Central Texas.
How about
You don't have it up
Tex-Mex?
here.
Do you get any good Tex-Mex up there?
So no Tex-Mex.
No.
It's more like authentic Mexican, more kind of interior Mexican down here.
Right.
I like my cheese and no cilantro. You
Yeah.
can't find that.
Yeah,
up here.
exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So have you been to the Sears Tower? I mean, it's not the Sears Tower anymore, but have you been up in it?
So my brother lives here. He's lived here for about 15 years. So
Okay.
I've been here a lot of times and done all the touristy thing. But since we're right in the middle of a pandemic and there's a lot of strange things happening outside of the pandemic here in Chicago, it's my schedule the last couple of months since I moved up here has been home, work, and then a grocery store mixed in, once a week. So I was telling a friend yesterday, I could literally be doing this job anywhere because it's just homework, work, home. So haven't had the Chicago experience as a resident just yet, but it means 2021 will be even more special, I guess.
Albert, I need to share a picture here. Stand by. Do you remember when you and I first kind of got to know each other?
Yes, it was. It had to have been at a school supply drive, the For the Children drive.
It was one of those, but you actually did something. I shared a picture with you, and you shared it on the air. Hang on.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember that? Hang on. Stand
Was
by.
it a rainbow or something?
It was of my house, and it was the. You see it?
Oh, there you go.
Right?
Man, look at that young man.
He
He's about 30 pounds lighter. And not nearly as much gray.
Yeah, but that's my house. I sent that, and there was that big thunder, that storm that was just right over it.
Yeah.
So that's my initial. I'm like, I like that guy. I'm going to send him a picture, and he's like, I can put it on the news. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, that's like 10 years ago. That's the old set. Yeah.
That's 2012. August.
That's
13th.
back when I took a break from eating barbecue and Tex-Mex for a few months.
There you go. And if you look at the comments over here, Jimbo, it's 8 years ago.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. No, you've been a great provider when it comes to pictures, but also, we talked years ago about getting you a weather station at your house.
Yeah, I got it up. In fact, you're the one suggested the Davis one, so it's kind of a prosumer, and I spent some money on it, got it up, and it's like uploading stuff to the cloud like every 2 seconds.
It's awesome, right? Especially with your phone, you can just always see what's going on at the house.
Yeah. So pretty cool. You were going to say something, Jeff?
No, just there's always a place back here for you, Albert.
I think they filled my spot already. That's the
thing. The other way around. Usually people are coming to Austin, not leaving Austin. Yeah,
if you would ask me about 6 months ago, what are your plans? I would have told you I'm going to spend my career here. I'm going to be like my predecessor, Mark Murray. I had long-term plans to be in Austin, and I was on the verge of signing a 4-year extension. Literally had the paperwork. And then this opportunity kind of fell in my lap, and it happened very quickly. And this is back in late February when it all started going on. And I thought, well, let me just see what this is about. It's a free trip to Chicago. Let me go get a free meal. I'll go see my brother for a couple of days. And I talked to the managers, and they got me, and I got them, and I got the vision of what we're going to start producing live on TV starting September 1st. And it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. And it was something that I believed in. And for not just me, doing weather, but also for the news product that they wanted to present on cable TV. It's cable TV right now, as far as news goes, is very little news and a lot of talk, a lot of opinion, and some would argue a lot of bias. And what is going to make us very special on News Nation is it's going to be Monday through Sunday, so every night in prime time, 7 to 10 o'clock Central, and it's just news. And if weather's the big story of the day, if we've got big storms moving into the Twin Cities, we got flooding rains in Central Texas, we got a hurricane off the East Coast, that's what we're going to cover. So it's not reinventing the wheel. It is news at the end of the day, but it is a unique program in the year 2020 on cable in prime time to have a broadcast of just news, absent of bias, absent of opinion. And I want to always be a part of something that I believe in. And they sold me on that. And everything that I've seen from rehearsals over the last month continues to show me that that's the vision and that's the direction that we're going.
Jimbo, you hear that enthusiasm? We should move to Chicago.
It gets cold here, I hear. In the winter?
It gets very cold. Actually, Albert, I went to college in Illinois.
Oh, really? What part?
Southern Illinois. I'm Saluki in Carbondale.
Okay. That's
way down south.
You get it all there. You get the severe weather. You get the winter weather.
The Ohio Valley.
You know, one thing I learned just in the last couple of weeks from moving up here in the Midwest, have you ever heard of corn sweat before?
No, but here's I have not. But when I first got there, there were basements. There's no basements in Texas,
right?
And
but up in the Midwest, you have basements,
and it's no relation to cornhole either. So
no. So this time of the year, time of the year, you have all the mature corn, especially in Iowa, and that mature corn is releasing billions upon billions of gallons of water into the atmosphere, water vapor, and that's why the humidity in the Midwest can be just as high, if not higher, than places along the Gulf, which blew my mind. It gets humid and it gets hot here.
Yes.
Certainly not as hot as what you're dealing with right now with, 106. It was 106 yesterday. It's something crazy.
I got in my car. It said 118.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Yeah. So Albert, how does that work? If it's 106 here, and then they tell us it's 111 heat index. What does that mean? So
that's how it feels to the skin whenever you factor in that humidity. So places like Texas, it should just be the heat index all the time because you're always going to have humidity. Yeah, unless you have a front come through.
Now, Albert, you've been posting pictures about the set that you all have, a brand new set, absolutely beautiful. It's like three stories inside there.
Yeah, so the main studio has like 2 layers, and then the third story is where our newsroom is located. So we're broadcasting from the historic WGN TV. WGN is a legendary station. Bozo the Clown broadcast out of Studio 1, which is 2 studios down from where I'm working at, from the 1960s into the early 2000s. It's just a legacy station, not just for Chicago, but for the country. Along with a local station, there's WGN America, and you'll be familiar with WGN America, especially back in the 90s and early 2000s. Big Cubs, big Bulls, broadcast resources. It's been for the last several years kind of a super station type of platform, like a TNT, TBS, a lot of syndicated programming. And the folks that bought this TV station, Nexstar from Tribune, who owned, of course, the Tribune paper, the Chicago Tribune, decided that they wanted to make a change and make it more news, at least in prime time initially. And there's so many news stations on cable right now. So how can we be different? And how can we finally make a change in this country? And that's why that whole plan of doing news without bias and without opinion and without talk started to bubble up last year and really took hold this year.
So let's kind of talk about where you came from. You grew up in Corpus, I take it, right?
Yeah, just north of Corpus, about an hour northwest of Corpus, in a community called Beeville, part of the Corpus Christi TV market. So watched a lot of Corpus Christi TV growing up. And I actually lived out in the country. And this is, 80s and 90s when if you wanted satellite TV, it was going to be that enormous dish. And if you changed the channel, it had to move.
Oh, yeah, it's called the big ugly dish.
Yeah. So all of growing up, all of the TV that we got was ABC, CBS, NBC. And occasionally maybe even a distant, TV market. Maybe we get Houston on a good day. So I think that's what kind of started this interest at an early age. Is you're watching the news, you're watching the weatherman, and about 1992 when Hurricane Andrew hit South Florida and was in the Gulf, that's kind of when it just turned on for me. And this is when I was second grade moving into third grade. And the only thing I can describe it was like this fire in my belly of, I want to learn more about it and I want to do that. And that's kind of, took off, and it was an obsession and a passion as a kid, and made that into a career over the last 15 years.
Did you start out like a weather watcher kind of thing, or?
I was. So, one thing I've been very blessed with in my life is that I've been surrounded by a lot of supportive people, both family and outside of family. And as a fifth grader, I don't know, how old are you in fifth grade? 11, something like that. As a fifth grader, I showed interest to the NBC station down in Corpus Christi, and they let me come to the station and visit and tour. And I remember I brought like a binder of like past weather data for Beeville and all past hurricanes. Like, I was way into it. And they said, "Hey, you want to be a weather watcher?" So every morning before school, during their morning broadcast, I'd pick up the phone, and it's 72 and patchy fog, and they'd say my name on TV. And that's cool. And down the road, I actually interned at that TV station in college, and then worked at the competing station, the CBS affiliate, for my first TV job.
Great. So, Albert, you mentioned one brother. Do you have any other siblings?
No, it's just my brother and me, and 99% of my family still is in Texas, in the Beeville area down in South Texas. The only two that got away were my brother and me, and we live 2 blocks apart. He's 2 blocks away from where I'm sitting right now. So he's an older brother. He was already out of the house by the time I was in 8th grade. So this has been a real treat for us to kind of connect once again, because he's lived up here or out of the house for years and years. So that's been also nice personally to reconnect with my brother. And also it's very nice in the middle of a pandemic when you're not meeting a whole lot of new people to have family 2 blocks away. So even though the schedule's been pretty busy, we are at least having dinner once a week, and it's been good.
What did your brother do in Chicago? So
he's a freelance photographer. And again, right in the middle of a pandemic, that means out of work at the moment. So it's so rough, not just for him, but for millions of Americans that are going through this right now. But he would do photography work for the city or special events, and there's not a whole lot going on with that kind of work right now.
So did you go to high school in Beeville?
I did, yeah. And it's funny, the same high school that I graduated from, my brother graduated from, my parents graduated from, my aunts and uncles graduated from. So it's back then it just seemed normal. But as you move out of the small town, it is rare. So yeah, graduated from A.C. Jones High School in Beeville, and then I went to Texas A&M University in College Station, majoring in atmospheric science, and that's kind of when Albert kind of went off the rails, at least a little bit. Yeah. So I always had this passion for weather. I knew this is what I wanted to do. But I was a dumb 18, 19-year-old and did not take college seriously for the first 3 semesters. And I tell the story because I like to share the story, especially with young people, that sometimes it's not an easy road. Sometimes there will be obstacles and adversity that others put in front of you, but sometimes it can be yourself. One thing, I spoke to high school students and said, the biggest killer of dreams can be laziness. And that's exactly the trap that I fell into. And it was just pure laziness on my part. And I dug myself a huge hole when I was in College Station, to the point where I went on academic probation, was on the verge of getting kicked out. I know. I see the expression on your face.
There's no way.
No, I
get my girls back in here.
I don't even know who that person was. And the moment where that all changed and the switch was flipped was I was having a meeting with my academic advisor, at the atmospheric and oceanography building at A&M. And she said, "Are you trying your best?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm trying my best." I'm not. I'm being lazy. I'm staying out late. I'm not going to class. I'm being a dumb college kid. And she said, "Well, then this isn't for you. If you are truly doing your best, you need to find another major. This isn't for you." And that's when it went, boop, something that I've wanted since second grade, something that I've thought about on a daily basis was about to leave. And it was because of me, nobody else. It was because of me and my attitude and my laziness. And that set me on a very focused road to get not just 1, but 2 degrees in a short period of time. I had dug myself a hole just too large that I had to leave A&M College Station. So I transferred to A&M Corpus Christi and majored in communications there. And at the same time, majored in broadcast meteorology from Mississippi State and did that through correspondence. And I was hyper-focused. I can't tell you, it was so focused, I can't tell you more than about 2 friends I made at A&M Corpus Christi, because it was school. And if I wasn't at school, I was at a radio station working, or I was interning. I think there are little events in our lives that are going to change the path of where we're going to go. And that was certainly a big one for me. So I always like to tell that story, especially for young people listening and watching. Sometimes at the end of the day, it's on you. And you're, again, the biggest killer of dreams, in my opinion, can be yourself sometimes.
Yeah. Amen. So let me back up quickly. AC Jones, you said they're the fighting what?
The Trojans.
The Trojans. And what was the colors?
It was just like UT, burnt orange and white.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And so had the moment and then turned it around. And then from that point, where'd you go?
So at that point, I was so lucky that right in the middle of college, when I was in Corpus Christi, a gentleman by the name of Frank Edwards, who's one of the managers at the Clear Channel station in Corpus Christi, asked if I had any interest in doing radio. We had met at a roast. I was one of the people on the dais, and I was roasting the guy that I was interning for, who was a chief meteorologist at the NBC station. And I guess I did pretty good for like a 19-year-old or 20-year-old, whatever I was at the time. And he asked if I was interested, and I said, yeah. I want to be a weatherman, but I'd love to do radio. And I was only there for a year, but hands down, the best job as far as, it may be different for you two, but for me, low stress and a lot of fun. And I just had a blast.
Well, in that case, I'm going to send you some commercials I need you to voice.
Yeah, but I just had a great time, and it was perfect for me because it allowed me to listen to myself, develop that broadcast voice, allow you to ad lib, exactly what you would do in a weathercast. And after I was there for a year, I got a job as a weekend weathercaster at the CBS station in Corpus Christi, and I still had a summer semester and a fall semester to complete at A&M, and was able to be on TV before I had graduated college. So again, a blessed for the people that have been around me in my life, but also blessed that I was able to take that different path and change the way I thought and the way my life was going within about a year and a half. And went from a guy who was on academic probation to a guy that was doing TV weather, at least on the weekends.
And there's nothing better than actually learning on the job too. So what a great experience you had.
Yeah, and it was a number 3. Actually, we were number 4 at the time, a number 4 TV station. So it was rough in terms of that. If you're in a struggling TV station, there's not a lot of resources and stuff. But as someone who had never had any TV experience, you can make as many mistakes as you want, and you can learn as much as you want. So I learned so much there. It was a KZTV in Corpus Christi. And I did everything from, producing hurricane specials to learning how to edit before computers. Remember the tape to tape edit, and shooting on the big cameras. And it was a really great experience in retrospect. Learned a lot there.
So let me ask you, where did you do this very calm delivery? There is something about your weathercast, especially in the eyes of, tornadoes happening. You are very calming. And that's why, for us, including my wife, when you were here, you were our weather guy, because when honestly you weren't hypey is not the word. You weren't over exaggerating. What's the word I'm looking for, Jeff?
Well, Jim said calming. I thought of every time we watched you, Albert, it was just very professional. Very professional. Like you didn't blink. Like you had done this your whole entire, like just professional and calming. And hey, this guy knows his stuff. And not the other folks over there. They kind of scare us, especially when we have weather coming through Austin. But Albert, you were that's the word that comes to me. Very professional.
Well, I appreciate that. I wasn't always like that. I will tell you when it changed for me is I started at KVUE in Austin in 2009.
Yeah, let me interrupt you for a second.
Sure.
So did you get a phone call? How'd you get to Austin?
So I was at the number 4 TV station in Corpus Christi. So for 4.5 years, it was just like sending out. Back in the day, we'd send out the VHS tapes. I'm getting old. I'm talking about tape-to-tape editing and VHS tapes.
Well, Albert, we won't tell you about the 8 tracks we had in our cars.
If he pulls out a phone with a hinge on it, I'm picking up. I'm just telling you.
In artillery.
So I'm telling you, I sent out hundreds of VHS tapes across the country in those 4.5 years. And I applied to every TV station in Austin. I couldn't even get a call back. Those jerks, but KVUE had an opening, and that was a slow process as well. But it went from slow to really fast, and got a call from Frank Volpicella, who was a longtime news director there. He's now in Tulsa, and said, "Hey, basically, when can you start?" This is the first phone call that we had, and I said, "Well, I can give 30 days notice right now." And he says, "Yeah, I'm looking for someone to start a little sooner than that." I'm like, 30 days? I don't even live in Austin.
Well, how was he
there this weekend?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Because it was just one there then.
Yeah, because they were down to 2 meteor. This was right after the big recession, so they lost people, and it was a mess, as you know, in both the radio and the TV industry. Right. And they were down to 2 meteorologists, Mark Murray and Megan Danahay, and they needed someone because they were working basically 7 days a week. So we made it work, and I started, and I'm still, only 4.5 years into this career, and I'm doing exactly what you said. I'm thinking, hey, we got a tornado warning, we got big hailstorm, I got to be on it, I got to be that kind of, because that's what you see, right? That's what you see on the national broadcasts and stuff. But this is when it changed. It was you'll both remember this, Memorial Day 2015, crazy weekend.
Yes.
We had a tornado outbreak in the city on that Saturday night, the Saturday before Memorial Day of 2015. And while our focus was on these tornadoes in the metro, Austin Metro, we had a tremendous amount of rainfall fall upstream of Wimberley along the Blanco River in southern Blanco County. Yeah. And I get goosebumps talking about it right now because we missed it. We saw the reports, but we were not ignoring them, but we were pushing them to the side because we had active tornado warnings. We had confirmed tornadoes on the ground. And in the meantime, the Blanco River, which is so peaceful and looks like a creek on a normal day, went up to 41 feet and knocked out the gauge. And you had this wall of water, what the Weather Service termed as the flood wave, sweep through portions of Wimberley, portions of Wood Creek. And, people died. And till this day, there's, I believe, still two kids that the bodies were never recovered. Again, I get chills still thinking about it. That is the day that I changed. That is the day, and I learned a lot from Mark Murray, who was chief meteorologist before me, the original calm in the storm. But how do we need to change the way we look at covering severe weather? Do we need extra staff where the primary meteorologist is focused on the tornado warnings, but there's someone in the background looking at big picture? And that's how we changed it at KVUE after that event. And I changed the way that I broadcast as well. So it wasn't forever at KVUE, but it was my last 5 years there that I wanted to take the feather from Mark after he retired to be that calm in the storm, because that market needed it. It needed someone who was going to be a straight shooter and reliable at the same time.
Yeah, that's horrible. There's something about this town on Memorial Day. There's always some sort of weather event, and Halloween too. We always have something.
Right.
I can't remember if it was Memorial Day or Halloween. I remember Shoal Creek flooded. It flooded. What's the football field down on Shoal Creek? What do they call it, Jimbo? The stadium. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name.
Down by kind of downtown. Anyway, the water rose to about the 12th row. House Park Stadium. The water rose to like the 12th row. That much. There's always something going on Memorial Day, Halloween in this town.
That Austin is when it comes to weather, that's a big city, and that's why when I was chief there at KVUE, and we had new management come in, new general manager, new news director, and these folks came from different parts of the country, and I was very, very adamant that anyone that we bring in as a meteorologist, they have to be degreed, they have to have experience, because the weather in Central Texas is life and death. Don't let the 106-degree day sunshine fool you. It can get bad here, and it can get bad here very, very quickly because of events just like that. And a lot of those events, I mean, it's true. They weren't forecast to be that bad. That's usually the way it goes. It's the ones like there's the Memorial Day flood, and then we had one on Memorial Day of 2015 as well. It was not supposed to be that bad. There was a risk of flash flooding, but yeah. That's why you gotta have professionals there.
It was like, Jimbo, when was it? 96, 98 that Gerald had the tornadoes?
97.
Yeah.
97?
Yeah.
Horrible.
That was actually the same weekend that the house that you put on the KVUE, there was a tornado out there, and it actually killed somebody off of 71. And that was the property that we bought. And we still had things that were wrapped around trees from that tornado because it literally came right next to our property.
That same day, that May 27th, 97?
Correct.
So my grandparents, there's a story about this. My grandparents lived in Bastrop, and I spent a lot of summers in Bastrop. And my aunt lived in Austin, so I spent a lot of time in Austin as a kid growing up. And I was in Austin on May 27th, 1997, hearing the tornado warnings. I remember I was on Congress Avenue with my aunt and my cousin, and she had one of those old Ford Explorers with a clear top, and the clouds were unlike anything I've ever seen before, which I know now as a meteorologist were mammatus clouds, those kind of belly clouds usually associated with extreme weather. Anyway, a couple of days after that, I'm in 7th grade at this time. My aunt took me up there, and I was able to see the damage firsthand in Gerald. And that was one of the other defining moments of this is what I want to do, growing up. And still today, Jeff, you mentioned school presentations. Mm-hmm. I still show those photos that I took as a 7th grader of the extreme damage that I saw. When I was at KVUE, it was 20 years later, I went to my news director and my general manager, and I said, I'd love to be a part of and produce, executive produce a special honoring the victims and reminding people in Central Texas about how bad and how extreme the weather can be. Can we do a special? And we did a 20th anniversary Gerald special. And you can find it on YouTube right now. And I'll show you right here. It won me my very first Emmy Award. All right. So not to brag on myself.
No. That's great.
I love that, sometimes life is a full circle where I was a kid and I was, at least in the vicinity of it happening and seeing the damage firsthand, and then being able to be with a TV station that allowed me to, put together something like that.
No, I just wanted to add, Albert, that day I was working at Bergstrom before the airport opened. The Air Force was transitioning out before they moved everything over there. And I remember in the office I had a monitor. Remember they were like 2 feet deep. The monitors were these big. Anyway, I have never seen a radar. Red and like shades of purple are the worst you will ever see. It seems like level 6 stuff on the radar. That's the most I've ever seen when the tornadoes hit in Gerald. I still can remember that. And we went outside, and the thing with Texas is you can look at this side of the sky and it's just dark gray, and then sun shines over here.
Yeah. That day, atmospherically, of course, we've been able to go back and look at the raw data and study it so much. It was the last F5 tornado that we had in the state of Texas, thankfully. Yeah, but atmospherically, the ingredients that were in place that day, we have never seen it ever again. The amount of what we call instability in our atmosphere was off the charts. Again, we've never seen instability that high, and we've never seen really a weather setup like that. It was just a unique, weird day, and it all came together to produce this horrific disaster that killed 27 people, half of which were below the age of 20. They were kids.
I want to touch base on something else that I do like about you, and I hope that they recognize this about you up in Chicago. You have this way of connecting with people, not necessarily on the air, but using social media. I think you've done that better than anybody I've ever seen. To where you say, okay, we're going to be cutting in over here for a second. Then all of a sudden, you're just going through and you're doing a weathercast even more so than you would do it on the air. Is that something that somebody taught you? Is that something that you just decided to do yourself? How did that happen?
Yeah, so when I became a chief meteorologist at KVUE 2016, April 2016, that was kind of my big contribution, I think, to that TV station. Let's be the leader on digital. If everything is broadcast, it's obviously still important. That's at least at the moment where our bread and butter is coming from. But people are not going for their remote control anymore when a tornado warning is issued. They're going for this, right? They're going for their iPhone. This is where they're getting information now. So let's be there. And if we can be there, and if we can be a leader on the digital side, then that's going to be great, not only for us as a business, but also as a public service. So met with management, met with our engineering staff, great engineering staff at KVUE, and here's the equipment that we need, and let's experiment with it. Let's get a great microphone. Let's make sure that the cameras are hooked up. Let's make sure that I have control of everything, almost like a mini control room in the weather center, where I can go on TV when I want, and I can jump onto Facebook or Twitter or the web whenever I want. And it was super successful. This is when I knew it had changed. When I'd go to a store or something and people wouldn't say, "Oh, I watch you on KVUE all the time." They say, "Oh, I watch you on Facebook all the time." I heard that more towards the tail end of my career than I heard the TV version.
Yeah, I think there's more mobile phones than like TV flat screens now. I think mobile phones now just dominate the world. So
and that's
go to it.
Right, and that's something that I'm going to work on really hard here. Try to take that same formula from a local and put it into a national platform, because you don't really get that on a national platform. It's hard to see, NBC or CNN or MS or Fox do long-form, meaningful coverage with a meteorologist when it counts. It's got to be either a natural disaster in the making or has already happened for the other networks to take notice. So I'm hopeful that once we get the broadcast all smoothed out on September 1st, we're able to really ramp up our digital presence.
So how were you able to, when you were here, it's been drilled in our minds, turn around and don't drown.
Right.
Remember that?
Oh, boy.
How did you... I mean, you want to shake some people because we all know it, but it's just a couple of feet of water, and it's only so I can drive my car through there, and then it gets scary fast. So how do you convey that to the general public and get them to do that?
I feel like it got better over the last couple of years, though, in Austin. It was there for a little bit, that every time we had a flash flood event, and flash flooding just happens in Central Texas. The topography's there, so it can't be one of these catastrophic, enormous events that we'll remember for decades. But it's a normal rainstorm. It rains 6 inches, which anywhere else in the country is a big deal. But in Central Texas, it's like, hey, it was 6 inches. This went over its banks. But it seems like every time that happened, somebody would drive through it and get swept off and either get killed or have to be rescued by law enforcement. And I felt like it started to get better towards the end. So maybe the messaging helped a little bit, but that was very frustrating to me. And research has found that the people that are more likely to cross a flooded roadway are people that drive that road on a daily basis. So it's like, hey, I know this road. I know how deep this water is. I've got a big old pickup truck or whatever. And then they get themselves in trouble. And either it ends in death, or it ends with a dozen people from law enforcement or first responders having to go and pull your butt out of the water. So that was always super frustrating. there in Central Texas.
Okay.
So I don't know how to answer your question.
No, that's
pulling my
it.
hair out.
That's it. I mean, like you said, the weather here can turn on a dime, and flooding is one of the, if not the number one killer of weather. And you just have to be aware. Be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, especially in Central Texas, they call that area Flash Flood Alley. You've heard of Tornado Alley in the Plain States. You all live in Flash Flood Alley. The topography and the proximity to the Gulf of Mexico, the ingredients are there to get a lot of rain in a short period of time, and that can provoke flash flooding in a big way and in sometimes unexpected ways.
The year after we moved here to Marble Falls is when we had that big flood that came down the Llano River, and it just inundated everything. So my house is like, as the crow flies, from the dam that was overflowing, and you saw all of those pictures of the
Starkey Dam.
Yeah, Starkey Dam. We could hear that from our house.
Oh.
So we were that close to it. We're up high, so it wasn't a big deal. But you talk about something freaky when you see somebody's whole dock go over the edge of that. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, or a house going over it. Remember the power of that water.
That was I'm looking over here because that was 2019. No, 2018. I forget. All those weather events start to 2018, October 2018. That was another day of hey, we've got showers and thunderstorms, and I went to bed at midnight and then was woken up about 2 a.m. with a flood warning for the Llano River upstream of Mason out towards Junction, and then talking about the amount of feet that it was going to go up. I forget now how high, but then going back and look at the historic records and going, holy cow, we're either going to tie or exceed a record. We better get on this. So that was another one of those days of just how unpredictable and how severe weather can be. I think Central Texas was a good training ground for this job for sure.
Well, speaking of training ground, have you been in Chicago and said y'all fixin' wash?
I do.
You say you guys.
You guys.
You guys.
Soda, pop.
It's pop
old style. Shake down.
Y'all comes out of my mouth at least once a day. Yeah. How are y'all doing? I do that a lot.
Yeah.
They make fun of you?
A little bit of Texas.
Yes.
In Chicago.
Yeah. I have a new word. Let me show you.
Y'all too.
Y'all too?
Y'all
fixing to? Y'all fixing to go?
Fixing to.
Yeah.
We had severe storms in Minnesota yesterday, and I was talking to one of the anchors that I think you betcha it's going to rain hard.
Oh, you betcha.
Yeah. Well, and Albert, this, St. Louis, that area there, St. Louis gets the weather as well.
Winter weather, severe weather. Yeah. It's honestly, I was stressed out at KVUE, and we only covered 13 counties. 50 states is going to be a little different. So we're going to go with emotions and continue to hire, more people to be able to assist us.
Let's talk about that. Talk about the new show. You got some new technology that you haven't had before. What do you got going on?
Yeah, learning a lot since I got here in late May. So News Nation, again, a new program coming to WGN America, 7 to 10 o'clock p.m. Central, prime time, 7 days a week. I'll be on the Monday through Friday broadcast. And it's a beautiful facility. We've got new equipment, stuff that I didn't have in Austin. So there was a learning curve for sure when it comes to that. And we are going to be doing weather in prime time. And when weather is the big story, we'll blow out the 3 hours and focus on it, which I'll put money on it. When we get on the air in September, we're going to at least do that once with a landfalling hurricane. Really concerned about hurricane season, the rest of hurricane season. We have like 85% of it left, which is bananas. Josephine developed this week, and it's the earliest J storm on record. Got to go back to late August to have the earliest J storm, and that was back in 2005. And 2005, you'll remember, being the most active hurricane season of record. So much, in fact, that we went through the list and had to go to the Greek alphabet. Which, do you remember that happening?
I do, actually.
Yeah, we were in Houston when that happened. And then remember, Rita was right behind it, wasn't it? Wasn't it Rita? It was Katrina, then Rita.
Was Rita
Katrina
the
hit New Orleans.
Right.
And you know what, Albert? When that happened in 2005, wasn't it 2005?
Yep, 05, yep.
I remember when they showed the Gulf of Mexico, the entire hurricane just about covered it. And I remember thinking, this is going to be bad. I mean, like, horrible. And then I think I'd have to look it up. I think Rita was right behind it.
Yeah, I forget too, which I think Rita may have been a different year, but
2007, wasn't it June of 2007? Because that's when we were building another house and we were supposed to pour the slab and we had that 19-inch rain bomb.
That's right. The Marble Falls rain bomb.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Katrina was 2005, wasn't it?
That's correct.
Okay, and that hit New Orleans.
Right.
And we lived in Houston at that time, and oh my goodness, that I don't even like thinking about that stuff. You know, so many people had left New Orleans, came to Houston. They were in the Astrodome. They were in the not the convention center, but the building next to it. It was absolutely horrible. It was terrible what those people went through.
You know, you two know my style. I'm not a fearmonger at all, but I think a month from now, we're probably going to be talking. Within the next month, we'll be talking about something similar to that. And that on a normal year is bad, but you add COVID-19 into the mix. How do you evacuate thousands of people and put them into a shelter in the middle of a pandemic? So it's serious stuff. NOAA released their latest hurricane outlook last week and showed, you know, the busiest hurricane season of record. We mentioned at the top of when we started talking about how we're pivoting to a La Nina weather pattern. And La Nina weather pattern is a drier weather pattern for Texas, but it also promotes increased tropical activity because your upper level winds get lighter. And that may be one of the things that's going to allow for numerous tropical systems. Not all of them are going to hit land, but, you know, again, I'll put money on it that we'll have at least one landfalling hurricane or tropical system in the month of September. And that may be kind of a conservative outlook. So you gotta just be ready. And in a normal year, this would be bad news, but really concerned about how 2020 has thrown so much at the United States, and you add a big hurricane in the middle of a pandemic, you're going to have some big problems.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you on the new show, WGN. You said Central Time. That's going to be 7 to 9. Is that right?
7 to 10, WGN America. Yeah, and actually, if you go to WGNAmerica.com at the top right, there's a channel finder. You can plug in your zip code, and it'll tell you what channel will be on cable. It's 307 on DirecTV nationwide, but for Spectrum or AT&T UVerse or Google Fiber, you can find your channel on there. 121 for us. I already checked. Awesome. I'm glad you have it.
I'm a weather nerd. I'm sorry. I gotta keep up with you, man.
I love it. No, I love it. And I'm hoping everyone gets to tune in. I'm thankful that we have 2 more weeks of rehearsal because for me, it is a challenge. It's not like doing a local weather forecast because we're covering the country, and it's at least technically it's not covering it like I did at KVUE or Corpus Christi before. So I welcome the practice that we were polished by September 1st.
Well, we miss you. And I mean, when you think Austin, Albert Ramon, Quita Culpepper, Stevie Ray Vaughan, they're all in that conversation.
Oh, wow.
So please, if you get a chance, and I know this is worldwide you're doing now, or at least nationally, please come visit. And Jim promises he'll take you for barbecue.
Hill country, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm there. 2021, I'm making my return at least for a visit to Austin. And thanks for putting me in the same category as Stevie, much less Quita.
Wow. And you made Quita, what we're working on.
You made Quita cry.
That's right.
I saw that video. You made Quita cry because he was going to miss you. You guys kind of started on the weekends together, right?
We did. We started weekend mornings in 2009 together, and I did weekend nights as well. And I was with Brian Mays, who did sports back then on weekends. And now, Brian's the main anchor of 5, 6, and 10. So I'm happy for them, and I know they're happy for me. And like I said on TV, and I wasn't kidding. We're more than just work friends. We're true friends, and we check in with each other. Not as often as I like, but I'm keeping an eye on everything in KVUE. And my previous morning meteorologist, Erica Lopez, is now the chief there, and she's doing a great job.
Yeah, that is great.
The Quita doesn't age anyway. Have you noticed that? She doesn't age.
I don't understand how she looks.
Age.
She looks younger today than she did 10 years ago. She's got like that Benjamin Button effect going on.
Going backwards.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, congratulations on the new gig. It is definitely a big advantage to them. It's a loss for us, but we're very super proud of you, man. We really are.
Thank you so much for taking the time and letting me promote my new gig and letting me talk about my life.
Albert, pleasure to meet you, and thanks for coming on.
Nice to meet you.
The Jimbo and Jeff Show. The Jimbo and Jeff Show.